Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So in today's video, it's all about the free hit. Yes, I've committed to the game week 29 free hit strategy. Watch as we discuss the main players you need to consider for game week 29 and where you can start to look at those spicy differentials. Although it's a small blank, captaincy will be a big talking point, so stick around to hear my thoughts on my most ideal captain. If you enjoy FPL content, please subscribe to the channel down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
Right, mates, first up, this is how my free hit game week 29 is looking right now. 8 of these players are absolutely locked in for me right now, barring any kind of injuries or suspensions. There's a 3 players with the question marks that are still to be determined. You can see on the right hand side there, you go 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. That depends if you like the forward options or the midfield options, but I think we can all agree that defense just isn't kind of cutting it right now. If you've got 7 or 8 good players, then you might not need to free hit right now. However, if you've got the bulk of these players, I think you'll be fine, to be honest with you. And the beauty of these 3 selections here, you can maybe select a differential or 2. So in goal, I've gone for Flecken away to Burnley. They're a really poor side, Burnley. I expect Brentford to have a relatively decent chance of keeping a clean sheet. And what I like most about going for this kind of strategy is that I'm kind of edging towards one team. So I can put in all my eggs in the same basket of going for double Brentford defence with Reguilon also in there as well. He looks like a player reborn. I mean, like, I watched him playing for United, and he looked okay playing left back, but I watched him for Spurs a couple of years ago, and he was just horrendous. But I think he's just kind of found his place within this Burnley and the Brentford side, and he's looking okay, to be honest. So the defenders that I'm kind of looking for are going to try and offer me that attacking threat. That's the reason why I've also gone for Alfie Delta. I don't expect a lot of clean sheets at all from this game week, but if I can get any kind of attacking return from any of my defenders, that's what I'm going to go for. So I've gone for Reguilon, Doughty in defence, and the last one still remains to be determined right now. I will cover some defensive options, the midfield options, and some forward options as well, and we'll cover captaincy later on as well. In midfield, I think the first 3 kind of speak for themselves. Jared Bowen, home to Villa. It's a pretty good fixture for him, to be honest. Even Madison and Son away to Fulham, although it's an away game and Spurs aren't 100% fully clicking right now. I think it's a good fixture for both of those. We don't know who else is going to be back for Spurs when this game kind of comes around. You might want to take a point on Richarlison if he is back, but I don't think he will be. So do you want to look at someone like a Brennan Johnson? Not really for me, but I can see why people might want to go there. And we've got the question mark of the last player within the midfield area. Up front, we've got Ivan Toney. Speaks himself once again. Great fixture away to Burnley. Ideally, I would have gone for a blanket defence and picked 3 defenders all from the same team. I obviously can't do that, but I am tripled up on Brentford in this side. I'm going for Ollie Watkins on fire. He's one of the first names on the team sheet right now, and a heavy consideration for captaincy. Let's look at some options for goalkeeper, defence, midfield, and forwards. These are some of the options I've got for the goalkeeper and defensive options within my team for game week 29 free hit. In the top left corner are my predictions for the game week 29 fixtures. I think Spurs are going to win 2-1. I think Villa are going to win 2-1. Luton Forest will be 1-1. And I think Brentford will beat Burnley at 2-0. So as you can see, I don't think there's going to be a lot of clean sheets in there. And I've already doubled up on that Brentford defence. They're the only team that I think will clean sheet within these fixtures. So because of that, I don't think there's a lot of manoeuvrability around trying to search for those clean sheets. So a lot of this would be trying to search for those attacking returns and looking for those attacking fullbacks or central defenders that might get on the end of set pieces and get the odd goal here and there. The only goalkeeper I would consider outside of this would be Martinez. Other than that, it's probably Areola, which I think might be a heavily owned goalkeeper. I don't think budget's going to be an issue for us at all this week, so go for anybody you want. The only Spurs defender that I'd maybe think about is Pedro Porro, although I think Udogie could be an equally good option. I think we do need some information around Porro, whether he is going to start or whether he will get reduced minutes, and that's something that might dictate it. Is his attacking output of his expected attacking output for me is massively overrated. He hasn't done it enough this season to be kind of warranted. I was very high on him. I was kind of very hyped about Pedro Porro at one point in the season, but he's just kind of failed to deliver multiple times this season. Spurs can't keep a clean sheet. I don't think they will keep a clean sheet, and so because of that, it's just difficult kind of thinking where to go. I think you could go for Porro, you could go for Udogie. And then you could also go for a Villa defender. I've gone for Ezri Konsa here. Ezri Konsa could easily be somebody like Matty Cash. It could be Pau Torres. It could be Luca Dean. It could be Moreno. I don't like those two left backs. I don't know who's going to start. Konsa hasn't got an attacking return yet this season, but he usually pops up with 2 or 3 throughout the season. Is he overdue one? Could he get one in this game? I think he might, I actually think he might. So that's one of my kind of major differential players there. Ezri Konsa. I don't think there's going to be a lot in terms of these 3-hit teams. There's only going to be maybe 3 or 4, 5, 6 points in it. Like if you go for Konsa and he gets 2 points, like Paulo might get 6. There's only going to be like 4 points in it. I don't think it's going to be major points or like major points links here and there. I think you could go for a differential and maybe try and hope for that attacking output. From the rest of the teams, I did consider Toffolo briefly, but I just don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet, and because of that, I just don't see the point in going for him. His attacking day just isn't good enough for me to even consider him. But they're the main goalkeeping defensive options I'm considering to put into my team. Leave a comment down below if you think I'm missing anybody out. Moving on to the midfield option, and first up, we've got Gibbs White away to Luton. In his last 5 games, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist. It's going to be a massive differential around this time, in my opinion. I think if people might go for him on free hit, but I still think it'll be a major differential because of that. And it just depends what formation you want to go for. I think Tony and maybe Watkins, and then it's up to you if you want to go 5 midfield, 4 midfield, and that determines how many of these picks you can actually select. I think Gibbs White is a good option. I think he's going to be on a lot of set pieces. I think he'll be on penalties as well. It's a great fixture. I think he's got one of the better fixtures. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. I think it's going to be 1-1, and because of that, I'm not as high on him as other people are. But Gibbs White could be Elanga. It could be Callum Hudson-Odoi. So there are different options from this team if you want to look at a more kind of differential option. I think once free hit does start to get played, you'll see Gibbs White ownership start to steadily increase. Moving on to Ward-Prowse, and I don't really like this selection, but Ward-Prowse could easily be Kudos. Like if you want to go down that route instead. Everyone's going to have Jared Bowen, but I just don't think West Ham are a great team overall. I'm not looking at them from a defensive point of view. I don't like a lot of their attacking options. And like you could even consider Paqueta as well, to be fair to him. He has chipped in with quite a few assists here and there. Ward-Prowse's stats from the last 5 games, he's only got 1 assist. Don't like him. He won't be on penalties. I think that will go to Jared Bowen, more than anything else. So I don't really like him as an option, to be honest with you. I just think a lot of people might start drifting towards Ward-Prowse. I don't even think Kudos is a great option, and I would much rather go for one of the Villa midfielders. I think Bailey is a really, really great option. I think Douglas Luiz, although he's a great option, is away form compared to his home. It's just completely so skewed towards his home form. I think at home he gets an average of 7 or 8 points per game. Away it's like 2 or 3. That's the reason why I've opted for Leon Bailey as opposed to a Douglas Luiz. Leon Bailey away to West Ham. He'll be playing on the right wing, or maybe even up front alongside Ollie Watkins up against Emerson, who he might even be an injury doubt, so he might get some joy down that right wing or that right wing channel. In his last 5 games, got 2 goals and 3 assists, and he's my main target for that 4th or potentially 5th midfielder slot within my free hit game week 29 team. What do you think about my midfield selections? Have I missed anybody out? Leave a comment down below if you are thinking of bringing somebody else in for free hit game week 29. Moving on to the forward, and if you're somebody like me, I'm leaning more towards going to a 3-4-3, looking at that 3rd forward slot. First up, we've got Yohan Wissa away to Burnley. I think Wissa's going to go massively under the radar. Everyone's going to go for Tony and forget about Wissa. Chances are, Tony might even blank and Wissa might be the one to start going off and start to bang within this game week 29 fixture. He scored in his last 3 games. I'm recording this at half-time of the Arsenal game, and Wissa has just scored. So he scored in his last 3 games. 5.6 million, 4.4% owned. Like I said, I think he's going to be massively overlooked, and he might be one of those major differentials that nobody considers. Tony, for me, just doesn't look at it right now. Like when he first came back, he was biting at the bit and he looked really great. The last 3 or 4 games, I think he's been miles off the pace, and Wissa might be the one to go for ahead of a Tony, especially if you're not even going to consider captaincy on Tony. I'm considering it. I'm not sure if I'm going to go there. So in his last 5 games, he's got 3 goals. He's going to be a massive differential, and I just kind of think about him, have him in the back of your mind. You might even want to go for double Brentford attack, have Tony and Wissa both up front. That might be something good to go for. They've got a great fixture. Why not attack it and go for 2 attacking options against one of the poorest defences in the league? One of my more kind of controversial picks is Rodrigo Muniz. I watched him against United, and he was so impressive when they beat us 2-1. Muniz could have easily scored a goal or two. 4.5 million forward, 2.8% owned. Last 5 games, he's got 4 goals and 1 assist. His underlying data is pretty good over the last few games, and he's probably my favourite option out of these 3 players, to be honest with you. I just really like him as an option, and I think he might do bits in this game. I know I've only predicted for him to get the 1 goal, but the game could easily be 2-2. Spurs are wide open. They concede goals. They concede chances. Even though it's tightened up, they still concede chances. Muniz will be there or thereabouts, and I think he might get some returns in this game. So he's my favourite option out of these 3 so far. I'm moving on to Carlton Morris. I think he's going to be one of the more heavily owned forwards outside of Toney and Watkins. I like him. He's just a little bit boring. 3 goals in his last 5 games. He hasn't looked great in the past couple, and he's not getting any returns in the past couple. But I think he will be one of the highest owned forwards for game week 29, particularly if you are free hitting. But for me, I'm looking at Muniz is number 1. Wiss is a very, very close number 2, and Morris is way down in 3rd, 4th, 5th spot, whatever you want to call it. What do you think about my forward line? Have I missed anybody off this? I know you might consider someone like an Aouanier. He hasn't got enough minutes for me to even start to consider him. That's the reason why he's not on here at all. And I even consider someone like a David Fofana. I like to edge and go towards, if I've got defensive options from that team, then don't try and consider forwards that are going to play my defenders. That's the reason why I've not considered Fofana, but I think he's a decent option, and he looks decent for Burnley, to be fair to him. What if you think of it? If you think I've missed anybody out, leave a comment down below and let me know who you think of bringing in for game week 29. Last but not least, we're going to consider captaincy, and for me, the 3 main options: Heung-min Son, Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney. Heung-min Son away to Fulham. I think all of these fixtures for all these players are good attacking fixtures, but for me, what separates these 3 players out is the fact that Son and Toney are on set pieces. They're on those penalties, and that's kind of what puts Ollie Watkins down to a close 2nd place for me. I think Son probably edges it at number 1, depending on what position that he does play. Chances are Son might play number 9, and if he does, he's always going to be a threat, and that's what edges out Toney. Tony's not in great form for me right now, and he's not looked great in the past 3 or 4 games. That's the reason why I'm edging more towards Son. Ollie Watkins is probably going to be vice captain, and Toney is 3rd. However, the FA Cup fixtures could easily swing these around, and we can kind of see what happens, depending on if there's any kind of injuries or suspensions. Am I missing any other captain options out? Leave a comment down below if you are thinking of captaining any of these 3 players, or if you're thinking of captaining somebody else and go for that spicy differential pick. Leave a comment down below. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. So today we're covering my free hit for game week 29. Look at those players that are locked in to my team right now, and then try to assess a few different options in the goalkeeper, defensive, midfield and forward options. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and leave a comment down below. Have a good day. Peace and love.